Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much to attend to this webinar on which we are going to exchange on how data are and will be the lighthouse for electric vehicle shift. I'm Luito, VP International Sales for OCTO, and I will be your moderator today. This year is a very special year. The pandemic that we are going through this year is creating a lot of changes, and especially on our habits and behavior in our lives. A few examples can illustrate that. Commuting was cancelled altogether from our country, from our routines. We are using more delivery services than before, and delivery fleets improved with smaller and agile vehicles, including a large number of two-wheels units. In this context, more than ever before, having a clear image of what the mobility trends are is key to adapt and plan structural investments. Fleets are obviously part of this scenario. Is it the right moment to change or move into new mobility solutions? All these questions can be answered through a deep dive into data analytics. I have the pleasure to welcome Giuseppe Sacchi, Product Manager, E-Mobility Fleet Business at Alphabet International, and also Corey O'Brien, OEM Stream Leader at OCTO. Before starting, Corey and Giuseppe, can you explain briefly your role in your companies? Maybe Giuseppe, you can start.
Thank you, Louis. I'm working for Alphabet International, a fleet company. My role is in e-mobility environment for already 5 years. I get really the opportunity to learn a lot because I'm coming from the traditional business, and my goal is really to deliver to our customer the same experience on electric vehicle as they have for combustion engine. And I'm looking forward to explain you how we are doing that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Giuseppe. Corey?
Hi, my name is Corey O'Brien. I am responsible for the OEM business globally at OCTO. I have spent almost 15 years at OEMs, and the last 5 or 6 years after that was at a connected vehicle startup. So I've spent a lot of my time throughout my career working in data and analytics, and excited to talk to you about that more today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. We have today the chance to have two experts, in fact, in the automotive and in the EV market. So, first question to you, Corey. Can you tell us about your thoughts on the biggest trends of 2020 as it applies to fleets and connectivity?
Yeah, so it's been quite the interesting year. I think everybody can agree on that. Social interactions have forever been changed. Movement in general, particularly limited, especially right now again. Our personal and work lives are obviously completely changed. I think everybody recognizes that, and we're today in a webinar like this, where normally we'd probably have all been together.
Yeah.
With respect to people, of course, we see this trend where people are now moving out of urban areas. They want more space. They want to be maybe more in a rural environment. And of course, this is impacting many cities and how they're working on the infrastructure within their city. We're seeing a slowdown in mobility services and in fleet services. But we know that that part is temporary. These services will, of course, be a part of our future of mobility. The old transportation model of the past wasn't really working prior to 2020 and the crazy year we've had, but this has kind of been this impetus for great change, right? So we're hoping that the great things come out of that. I mean, for example, we've seen a lot more environmental consciousness now, right? I mean, we saw the potential benefits of reduced traffic through this pandemic in the pollution. And so hopefully this attention to the environment is really taking hold and really will shift. We see OEMs introducing probably a new model every month we seem to see for electric vehicles. So I think that shift is kind of finally here, and maybe 2020 was the year to really push the EVs. So yeah, I saw a report where McKinsey was even saying that as many as 8 million EVs just in the fleet space could be on the road in the US by 2030. So that's in the next 10 years. So that would be, a shift almost 15% of the fleet being EVs. So that should be great.
Yeah, good. And I think that also, Corey, in order to add a comment on this, I think that it's also the case for the leasing companies that they are targeting in the few coming years, maybe in 25, to have a big market share about EVs as well. Maybe Giuseppe, you can argue on this.
Yeah, indeed. This is something that since I was already some years ago, there was this starting point with the first models, and of course we are part of OEM. We had indeed the opportunity to learn a lot about e-mobility. We see that EV now also there is somehow some push from outside for the OEMs that to launch models with CO2 impact. Nevertheless, our goal was always to guide the customer in the right choices. So it's really always a matter of evaluate the benefits, to make these benefits concrete, and basically also to shape an approach that is really has to be customized for the customer. And the degree of customization, and I'm happy to be here today, is indeed connected to or a consequence of how we are good in doing and analyzing the analytics of a specific fleet. And I would like to explain later regarding how we are doing that for the e-mobility in Alphabet with what we called as a product Alpha Electric.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a great transition as we talk about maybe a study that we conducted. So we looked at kind of the flow of data throughout 3 different cities. We looked at Boston, Rome, and London using a tool we've developed called Mobility Atlas. But really, what we were doing is looking at the vast amount of telematics data that we get from our current connected vehicle fleet that are more, of course, conventional vehicles. But what we were looking at was, where are people going? How long are they staying there? What is the density of the amount of people? And that's what you see in this picture with the size of the bubble representing how long people were staying. And I think this is filtered on, people staying more than 1 hour in that particular location. But we use these analytics to really assess the viability of electric vehicles so that we can align them with the way people are moving. For example, the time and power required to charge your EV needs to match the time that people are staying in that place, right? The number of EV stations in a particular area needs to be correct based on the density of the people living there. But we went deeper. It's not really only about density and location that we've been working on for a while for the chargers, but it's more about, are we going to get people to adopt EVs? And for that, I think you have to go a little bit deeper, right? You need to understand people's attitudes and behaviors. You got to be able to predict the need of the user. The value is really going to be in the knowledge that we get from combining different types of data from vehicles, from people's behaviors. And it's these type of analytics that we're looking at, where we're joining car data and city data and people data to enable cities and fleet providers to plan accordingly for this EV shift, so that we can help our, influence our customers to shift to e-mobility. I don't know, Giuseppe, I think this is an important element that you're also seeing with your customers, right? I mean, you have a lot of customers that don't really know where to start, for example, to move to the path of sustainability.
Yeah, indeed. As I was mentioning before, and this was summarized in this question, it's really a matter of details. And indeed, the challenge for us in the last years, and we think that will be more in the future, is to make sure that all these benefits of electric vehicle are materializing with real positive impact for the environment, for the total cost of ownership of our customer, and the decision that are based on this type of implementation are facilitated when we are looking to usage pattern of the fleet. And also from our side, as you will see, when we were developing Alpha Electric, we were really considering a sort of journey to deliver for, or to bring the customer with us for the implementation in a successful way of electric vehicle in the fleet. So yeah, we can go to the next slide. Or sorry, this one.
Yeah. Okay, so on this one, Corey, I think with this slide, you can explain how OCTO sees analytics as the lighthouse for the EV shift, I guess. No?
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I can go a little deeper into what we were just going through. So, I mean, we're looking at three different sources of data, like I introduced in that previous study. Data and analytics from the vehicles, from the drivers, and then from the city. And from this, we're trying to create kind of this more complete picture and develop knowledge so that we have a better understanding of mobility. We're using really the car as the sensor of the city, as we say, where fleet providers can both the city and the future of those cities with the data from their fleet. And they can also learn about how to best provide mobility solutions to their customers if they work together to study the analytics generated by the fleet within their city. Yeah. And so, as OCTO, we're mobility and telematics data experts. So we're really working to provide these connected vehicle analytics to support the fleet operators as they really work to implement this change from traditional vehicles to electric. Vehicle data, of course, can help us here because it helps you better understand the customer's mobility. And the fleet manager can understand if that electric vehicle is a good fit for that particular customer or even for the particular journey that they're on, right? We use the driver data. I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you were going to say. So anyway, mobility managers, I think, must also consider more than total cost of ownership, like Giuseppe was starting to introduce on his slide, but instead he's starting to look at total cost of mobility, right? We need to take into account the different experience that you have when you drive an electric vehicle. It's totally different. So we need to make sure we're providing differentiated value when they do make that shift. Knowing where to charge, of course, is a start. But we also need to match kind of the individual profile with the actual goal of mobility.
Yeah,
indeed. Yeah, really. Yeah, so indeed, I think that it's good to touch this point because I can move a step forward to tell our experience as also we are in a way a fleet operator. So indeed, when I was mentioning before, Alpha Electric is indeed something that we develop, and this is our visual, really connecting the dots. So you see a map you see the dots, and this is not just a nice picture, is really the mindset that we develop in the last years with our experience and also interacting with the customer about this opportunity to understand the journey of an electric driver that sometimes has to be guided from really a consultation, considering an electrification potential. We say to the customer that each fleet has a specific electrification potential. There is the necessity to have a strategy regarding charging infrastructure, and we are also capable to shape the strategy together with our customer and to make advices. In this case, we have, of course, partners. I will go into details in a second. And then, indeed, there is the value chain in terms of services, which needs to be really fitting to this type of vehicles. So the first point regarding consulting, indeed, there is really the preparation of, so we have the possibility to really go really deeper in the analysis. We take the advantage to have also software here to analyze the usage, and basically then for this type of analytics, then we can shape together with the customer an electrification strategy. Also, the fact that we need to integrate a car policy or to make sure that all the let's say conditions and precondition for the drivers are fulfilled. We are making TCO consulting analysis. Of course, in the future we will also consider more the mobility, but also the mobility topic, as you can see, is part of our journey, and we need to put in place a charging strategy. Just to summarize what is about the charging strategy, and to make, let's say, why is dependent to the information of the usage of the car, is indeed that the charging strategy has to fit to the usage of the vehicle. And this is coming back to the information that Corey was mentioning. So the time between a trip to another is making the difference, because this has to be the opportunity for an electric driver to recharge the car. And for the company or the fleet operator and the fleet owner is the cost opportunity to have a plan for delivering the charging solution. And this is why the charging solution have to consider 3 use cases. So one is the charging at the public, the home charging. So also in this case, there is opportunity in some cases that already the user can install charging point at home. And then what the company, since we are talking about company cars or fleet, where if our fleet manager has clear in the agenda the opportunity and a vision in the implementation of charging point in the workplace. And indeed, this approach has to match, and we are making sure that is matching with the degree of the electrification that and the sustainability goals that our customer are setting to their fleet manager. Last point is indeed the mobility part. So as soon as this car is delivered, so electric vehicle is delivered, is starting for us also a job that is really similar. So as I was mentioning before, my goal is that no matter which is the powertrain, a customer is happy to work with Alphabet. We are really starting something that is new for electric vehicle, because indeed the degree of optimization and evaluation has to be really constantly analyzed, and even more than combustion engine car. This for us is really a must, as together with the necessity and the opportunity to integrate billing and payment solution for the energy. Because indeed, going to a fuel station is something that it's still normal, still normal in sense that one day will be also this. Maybe we expect that there will be more convenient to go to a charging station, but this is something that has to be considered. A specific driver support, we have to consider that in this development there will be a new drivers, so drivers that will drive for the first time an electric vehicle, which needs to be supported. And the last point, in a nutshell, there is also the opportunity and the goal for us to deliver mobility solution, which normally which normally electric vehicles are really fitting well. So if you consider that all the maintenance and all so electric vehicle, even though has this necessity to be analyzed and good supported in the implementation, has really a simpler engine, as really a battery and 4 wheels, just to make it, and this is matching perfectly with the fact that are really used often and more often in the corporate car sharing solution, for example, or in general in the rental solution. Electric vehicle are really fitting because can be also used in the urban situation, for example, and avoiding congestion charge or the necessity to fulfill a maintenance check, since, as I was mentioning before, are quite simple. So we really think that the transition on electric vehicle will also facilitate new mobility solution, as for example the corporate car sharing, and on the other side, the corporate car sharing will be facilitated by the implementation of electric vehicle. And this is something that we are considering and we have really in mind after some years of experience, and we are looking forward of the future on this potential and great opportunity to develop business with our customer.
Okay, this is very interesting, Giuseppe. And if I may just maybe add an additional comment, I guess that also during this transition between thermal cars and also EVs, I guess that it's also very interesting for you as a leasing company who is managing assets on behalf of your customers to get, you know, a maximum of information and data coming from cars, because it will also help your companies to better manage the residual value, the remarketing side, and so on. So I think this is also key for you to accompany, in fact, this change, because of course there is a change for the users, for the drivers, because driving an electric vehicle is completely different experience compared to a thermal one. So they need some assistance and how to use it efficiently. And I guess that also for you as a leasing company, it's also something different, right?
Yeah, indeed. Indeed, I think that this is something that we have in the agenda. We have completely this experience in some markets more than in some countries more than others. But in general, indeed, we expect that electric vehicle will have the opportunity to be really more and more connected. And just to make an example regarding plug-in hybrid, indeed, in this case, to have the opportunity to monitor the usage of this type of vehicle as really something that we should consider, because indeed the impact of the driver is always, I think, but especially for plug-in hybrid, can make the difference in ecological impact, but also in cost saving for fuel. So this is just an example, but indeed, since also corporate car sharing and rental solution are more in the direction of providing to a customer usage than really asset ownership, we expect that analytics will play a role as soon as we will move more with more speed, with faster to the mobility solution, where indeed the usage has to be steered with analytics.
Yeah, and yeah, this is very interesting, Giuseppe, because currently what you explain now with the offer of Alpha Electric is how to help, in fact, fleets and mobility managers, to make this shift. And there is a word that is very key, I guess, in also this webinar. It's the mobility. You and Corey all the time use this wording, and I guess that the EV or alternative energies could be also one of the key solutions regarding the mobility for B2B customers and also for drivers. So may I ask you just maybe a question regarding this on the car sharing? How do you think this is going to be impact the future on the mobility with the EV?
I start.
Yeah.
So in general, for me, it's so our experience is already that the future is already there. So if you look to our corporate car sharing fleet, is indeed mainly electric already, and we think that will be a matter, as I was mentioning, to guide the or to expect or to be ready better that our customer will understand, or generally the fleets will get used to the implementation of mobility solution, like for example can be the corporate car sharing, and this will bring together two main pillars. One is the usage analysis, the possibility to better steer the fleet with analytics, and the second is, of course, the implementation of electric vehicle, because basically all the maintenance plan, all the refueling, all the complexity that combustion engine are bringing are streamlined in electric vehicle car sharing fleet, or in an electric rental fleet. And this is something that we expect.
Okay.
Yeah, I think OCTO is also very passionate about this particular area. In fact, keyless solutions and car sharing end-to-end platforms are a major part of our business in Europe. In fact, I think on our platform we have over 400,000 lock unlocks per month in our car sharing solution. So, but from an analytics perspective, we have conducted some studies. Here's an example where we were looking at helping a customer understand what they could do for car sharing or even ride sharing within their own company's fleet. So we looked at the drives of all their of all their employees and what their routes looked like, and then kind of did this comparison and overlap to try and find matches between different routes, so that we could actually encourage carpooling and ride sharing between different employees. So just a short example to show, we think this is really actually a very high potential growth area for companies with their fleets.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. It was very interesting. I don't know if we have time. I'm not sure, because we are already in the 30 minutes of our webinar. So I guess that we are going to take all the different questions and we'll answer directly to the people. I think that what I wanted to say is a very big thank you to you, Corey and Giuseppe, for attending to this webinar. And to share also all the information and knowledge about the Alpha Electric offer, and Corey, all the analytics that we are doing within OCTO to help also this transition. I think it's key for the EV to have this kind of added value to bring also new services to our B2B customers. So thank you very much again for your time. Thank you very much
Thank
also
you.
to the people to attend
Thank you.
to attending to this webinar. And just remind you that the next webinar in English will be held in January. So what I can advise to all people is to have a look on our website, where you can find also the different programs regarding the webinars for next year. And last point, we will still have a webinar in 5 days, so the 15th of December at 4 p.m. CET, but it will be held in Italian. And the topic of this webinar will be the intelligence of the future, technologies applied to the world of education for innovation and growth for the new generations. So I think it will be also very interesting because we are trying to provide and to provide our expertise on different space. So yeah, just wanted to thank you everyone, and stay safe. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.